As young people, we often hear from our parents, at your age, I already built a house. Or when I was 25, I was already married with kids. But here's the truth. Our world is not their world. 50 years ago, salaries could buy land. A civil servant could pay school fees, own a home, and still save money. Today, in Nigeria, inflation is 33.95%, the highest it has been in 28 years. Food price alone rose by nearly 40% this year. Owning a home, less than 10% of Nigerians can afford to own a home without loans. So when parents compare their milestone to ours, it's like comparing two different games. They played on beginner mode, we are playing on survivor mode. And it's not just economics, it's expectation. Society is still playing to the same outdated checklist. Get married by 25, buy a house by 30, stable career by 35. But how do you achieve old outcome under new, harsher rules? Look around. We live in a digital, globalized, and always-on world. Competition isn't just with your neighbors. It's with someone in India, Kenya, China, or the US. Remote jobs, AI, currency devaluation. This is completely a new reality. And yet, too many young people are carrying unnecessary shame. Shame that they are not married. Shame that they are still renting. Shame that their hustle doesn't look like their parents' stability. But let me tell you this, you're not behind. The rules have shifted. The economy has shifted. The world has shifted. So stop carrying guilt for not meeting outdated milestones. Instead, build resilience and define success on your own terms. Because you're not broken, you're not broke. You're building in a different world. What matters now isn't how quickly you tick those boxes. It's how you adapt. Success today isn't about owning a house by 30. It's about building skills and network that would outlast this chaos. Because if the world has changed and is changing, our rules as young people must change too.
Not only shifted, I wrote here, the world as we know it has changed. Traditional values, some of which have lost their flavor and values in today's world, have no place in it. We were having a conversation when we were coming. Like, I understand how young people can be pressured. Let's take social media, because that's the obvious example of what they see. But I also remember seeing Tyrese Williams, what's his surname? His video that he had with Kate Franklin. I don't know if you see it, if you check it on Instagram. He said, I don't want anything that you have. I'm going to do my own. You are successful. Hey, all well and good. Shut up.
Shout out to you.
Let me walk my own lane. You're showing me it's possible. Yes, but I will get there. I'm not late. You have all you have. I don't want it. I will make my own way. And young people have to come to that place where, yes, your parents got married at 25, had houses, but the world as we know it, the value system has changed totally. So the need for physical things is no more really a definition of success. But here, that would outlast, like your advocacy is always on point, Bright. So I hope and I pray that nobody who is feeling pressured to meet up to outdated milestones continues to stay pressured, but believes in themselves enough to know that they are on time, they are enough, and success can be defined on their own terms.
Absolutely.
Are you as accomplished as your parents? And I would say, I've had this conversation with a bunch of friends, and the response is always no. Because again, when we look at what our parents were doing when they were our age, we are very much far from it. But that's not the point. I was talking to a friend's mom, and then she was like, it's quite sad that they are the only generation where they have to take care of their aged parents and also support their grown kids. That they are just right in the middle. And they felt like by the time they are in their 60s, their kids will be able to support them. But it's quite unfortunate that a whole lot of them can't even support themselves. A lot of them are still living at home, and they still have to support them. I love the fact that you said, going back to defining success on your own terms, I am a very big proponent of that. Like, people say, oh, you don't want this. No, I don't want it. It's not important to me. I don't even think about it. I tell people there is nobody's life that I want. I love my life because I've created it in a way that, it suits me, it satisfies me. As a young person, if you're feeling pressured, I need you to understand that it gets better. You know, you need to keep at it. Success is a compounding game. Your skills and your network compound. So you have to keep going at it, and it will take you places as far as you keep going at it. That's it.
Interesting paradox, if I look at it in terms of how the world has shaped over the last 50 years. You know, like Uzoma said, I look at my parents, and you know, their life as it also reflects the nation. If you look at a lot of our leaders in the 70s and even in the 80s, most of them were young people in their 30s and all that. And also, if you look at our parents at that time, they were all in that same age bracket, and they were doing amazing things. If I look at what I was able to do as a teenager, and I look at what my kids are doing now, I realize that the things I was able to do as a teenager, being independent, they can't even do it as well. So they are just like disconnected. So it's almost as if we are just like, you know, degrading to the point where the expectations of independence and success and growth, all those parameters are just, you know, changing rapidly. But then when you look at it, when you flip it on the other side, you see also the fact that we've created amazing, enormous wealth within the last 50 years. And one metric we can use is just to compare the number of millionaires and billionaires in the 70s and the 80s and the number of millionaires and billionaires today. So we have created enormous innovation, enormous technology, enormous value. We've added value. We've created wealth.
We? Who's we?
The world.
Okay, the world. Okay.
So,
Not talking about, not singling out Nigeria.
Not singling out
Nigeria. But we've been using. You know,
borrowing.
Borrowing. But even in Nigeria, if you really want to do the numbers and say, okay, what were the numbers of millionaires or billionaires we had in the 70s and now? You probably have more now than you had then.
But what's the value of being a millionaire now compared to what the value of being a millionaire?
Yeah, so I'm saying that at the end of the day, it's about the fact that, okay, so there's a part of your advocacy we talk about apples and oranges. And I'm wondering that, are we really making the right comparisons? Because is the system as it was in the 60s and the 70s exactly the same way it is now, that we can make apple to apple comparison? Because when you look at it, there's been seismic shifts that has basically changed the way we interact with our world and the way we do things.
Your advocacy is really quite reflective. It reminds me of the book No Longer at Ease by Chinua Achebe. And there we saw the protagonist having to live in a conflicted life, having to try to measure up to the expectations of the people who studied abroad, and he had to come back to the colonial civil service. And you mentioned the civil service as well. Just as you mentioned life's checklist. At this point, at this age, you finish in school, you get married, you have children, and then you buy a house, and then you own a car, and life goes on like that. It's no longer the case in Nigeria. You have to deal with different kinds of things. Where is the job to start with?
Let's not
and then you now have to be an entrepreneur to make life bearable for yourself. Nowadays, we have 40-year-olds still living in their parents' houses. And then you said when hustles don't look like their parents' stability. And that's where what you're saying makes sense. Every generation has its energy. Every generation has its challenges. Every generation has their own va-va-vu, what works for them. Right now, Nigeria is a different place from where our parents grew up in. And then finally, how do you measure success? Is it by the land you own, landed property? Is it by the car you drive?
Of course not.
Is it by the company you keep? What really is the measure of success? I'd love to know what Gen Z people think success is.
Right, so it's a whole different dynamic. So the saying comparing apples with orange comes to mind. Let's come to terms with the reality of our time and prepare to play by different rules.
Truth is good for the soul. So let's tell ourselves some truth. Aren't our government budgets unrealistic, unachievable, and irrelevant to the everyday life of Nigerians? Hold that thought.